WWE WrestlePalooza has come and gone, and here is my review of the event as someone who was in attendance. Starting off, I want to say I also attended the Royal Rumble, and it was nice to have a show that wasn't 60,000 people, as it allowed fans to get into the arena super fast. There wasn't big lines for merch or for food. It was an overall much better experience than it was with a whole stadium like Lucas Oil Stadium filled. Starting off with our first match, we have Brock Lesnar versus John Cena, and this was the most controversial match on the entire card because it was essentially a glorified squash match in which Brock Lesnar defeated John Cena. John Cena hit a couple moves, hit like 2 AAs, Brock really no-sold him, kicked out, and then Brock hit 6 consecutive F5s to then pin John Cena. It was 8 minutes, but it was 7 minutes of either Brock hitting F5s or Brock just standing around taunting. So it really wasn't a long match. It was over in essentially 30 seconds. He hit 6 X5s, like I said, and then he pinned him, attacked the ref, hit John with another F5, and then John walked out. It was a really, really weird decision by Triple H to use one of John Cena's 6 final dates to be squashed by Brock Lesnar, which we already did 11 years ago in 2014 in a much better match. And then try to now, I guess, have a buildup of how can John Cena come back from that devastating loss to Brock Lesnar, which we've already done before, but we only have 5 dates to do it until he retires. So it's just a really confusing storyline, I guess, really confusing decision to have John Cena not only lose, but to lose this like thoroughly. Like, John should not have been getting squashed. He just, he went to toe-to-toe with Cody Rhodes and he got like 3 crossroads and a super crossroads and all this stuff, and now you're saying that really didn't matter because Brock can just do it, whatever, 6 F5s, he's done. So it makes John Cena look weak. It honestly, in retrospect, makes Cody Rhodes look weak because he struggled that much to beat John Cena, but Brock Lesnar can just pin him, just hit moves, squash him, you're done. But we've already established last year, or 2 years ago at SummerSlam, that Cody can beat Brock Lesnar, but he can't beat John Cena, a really old and hadn't won a match in so long John Cena, and it's really poor booking. I don't hate Brock Lesnar winning. I just did not need him to squash John Cena. I don't know where we're going to go from this. John Cena isn't going to appear until, I think, Crown Jewel's his next appearance. There's no build for it. It's just going to be maybe like a moping around. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I'm guessing the only reason this put on here was because this was going at the same time as Kyle Fletcher and Hangman Page from AEW All Out. So put the biggest name first to try and counter program it. It didn't work for me. In terms strictly of just in-ring work, be very clear on that. I do enjoy Brock Lesnar. I do enjoy John Cena. This was not what it should have been. Sure, maybe Brock isn't backed yet. He still has maybe ring rust, or he's still not in the best physical shape, even though he looks huge. But that's no excuse for booking a match like this. So this is getting an L. Triple H, you have to do better. You've absolutely ruined this John Cena retirement tour. And it's very showing that AEW did a better John Cena tribute on the same night than WWE did, because at least in AEW, Adam Copeland came out, he hit the 5 moves, did the John Cena you can't see me, and WWE's own company, they're having him get squashed by a 48-year-old Brock Lesnar who has been gone for 3 years. The next match was the Usos taking on the Vision's Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker, with a last-minute addition of LA Knight being the special guest referee. I wasn't really looking forward to this. Talking to my friend, I talked about the 5 matches, and I laid them out in order of which ones I was most looking forward to, and this one was at my very bottom, but the addition of LA Knight really did boost it up, and I enjoyed this more than I thought it would, because with LA Knight there, they could get away with more stuff. They could do tables, they could do chairs, and made it kind of more of a no disqualification match, which I did enjoy. Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker did pick up the victory after Jay was busted open. Rumors are maybe a concussion. He looked a little wobbly, so hopefully he's doing all right. But I think this was the right call. I don't know where you go if the Usos just win, and Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker just never really win the big matches. So I'm glad they're not doing that approach. I'm glad they're giving Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker their flowers. And they mentioned earlier themselves that after this weekend, this is on like Friday, that they want to go after the tag team championships. So I think that's still Judgment Day on Raw. So I think Raw after WrestlePalooza, you put a tag team title match between Judgment Day and these guys, and let them win. Let that be how you end Raw after WrestlePalooza, with these guys winning the tag team championships. They're dominant, they're clicking together, and that's what you want in your tag teams, not Judgment Day, who's now using the gold as some sort of breakup storyline with Dominic Mysterio, and they're going to have like no title defenses ever. So what this did for me was establish that they are a consistent tag team, and they beat a more experienced tag team like the Usos, but ones that had not been wrestling together in years. So you can have some sort of like, we lost because we haven't tagged in a while, which I'm cool as an excuse for that. But I'm glad that Bron and Bronson essentially won clean. There was no LA Knight interference. Sure, there was chairs and tables, but it really came down to just Jay got speared by Bron and he got pinned. So while I can't recommend you go out of your way to watch this match, it still was more enjoyable than I thought it was, so I'm glad it was on the card. Next was Stephanie Vaquer versus Iyo Sky for the, at that time, vacant Women's World Championship, in which Stephanie Vaquer won that title, and this was 1000% the right call. I knew going into this Stephanie was going to win because she was going to face Naomi, and it feels weird to have Stephanie versus Naomi, but then Naomi cancels, so you put in Iyo Sky, and then you have Iyo Sky win. It feels super wrong to Stephanie, so I'm really glad Stephanie did win that match. I think I saw online that she's won 7 titles, and she's won 3 titles in WWE in 7 months, for the NXT titles and now this, and she's awesome. She deserves it. Great celebration afterwards. So in terms of technical in-ring wrestling, this was my match of the night, and it wasn't even close. These women put on an absolute incredible match from start to finish, and again, maybe because I was just in the arena, I was so focused on it, but it was one of the best matches I've seen in a long time. Iyo Sky, I was rooting for Stephanie, but Iyo Sky continues to prove why she is one of the best wrestlers on the planet. Not the best women's wrestler, just overall one of the best wrestlers in the entire world. Iyo is amazing. Everything she does, from her athleticism to her technical abilities to her facial expressions, everything is so picture perfect. I love her. She is amazing, but I'm glad she didn't win because Stephanie is also right there. Stephanie is also so awesome, and they had such a great match. It was an interesting dynamic. You don't get a lot of babyface versus babyface matches. No interference from Kabuki Warriors or Rhea Ripley. Just a good wrestling match. And it had a clean finish in which Stephanie won with an awesome, I think, spiral tap finisher. It looked awesome. And then a great post-match celebration of they both like get on their knees and giving praise to each other, and Stephanie celebrating with her father. It was just an overall amazing match. If you had to go watch one match from this show, I would say it should be this one. This was just so awesome. I think I'll give it overall, not just technical wrestling, this is probably my match of the night. So please, if you haven't watched it already, go watch Stephanie Vaquer versus Iyo Sky. The next match was CM Punk and AJ Lee defeating Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. And I'm going to start off right away and say this was the correct decision to have them come over. You could not have this huge return and have Becky and Seth win. No thanks. Give them their moment. AJ Lee did not look like she had any ring rust except on her strikes to like Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. She was doing a weird like windmill action with her arms, and it just did not really look too good. But you can give it up as like blind rage from them hitting your husband or whatever. But you can kind of chalk it to maybe ring rust to that. Don't really know, but it didn't look the best. But everything else, she looked so awesome, hitting the octopuses, hitting those presses, hitting slam, everything. AJ Lee looked really awesome. Never looked like winded. She looked like she'd been here for 10 years, just doing this consistently and not taking a break. So it's nice to see that she wasn't out of place. The match itself was really awesome. I think it was the longest match. It was like 30 minutes. At the end, AJ Lee made Becky Lynch tap out, and so I'm sure at Crown Jewel we'll get a match for that Women's Intercontinental Championship. But a great match. A lot of good, like, don't touch my wife, don't touch my husband spots, of Seth, hitting AJ, CM Punk locking Becky Lynch in the sharpshooter, going through the announce tables. There's a lot of cool stuff. My one complaint this match is that they were building the initial tag to AJ Lee. They were building this huge hot tag because everyone wanted that. They wanted to see AJ Lee get in the ring, and they built it, and it was like, I'm so close to getting it, and then Seth knocks her off, and then Becky knocks her off, and then they did a really cool spot where like they were going to tag her, but then Becky comes in, distracts the ref, so you do get the visual tag, but the ref didn't see it. She makes her go back out. But they built for this tag for so long. It felt like that even the people around me were starting to lose interest in it because like, we get it, we're building to it, just give it to us because 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I'm not sure how long it took, but it felt like forever of just CM Punk was just trying to tag in. And also, I'm not sure the exact rules of a mixed tag match, but there was no like real like counting. I didn't see like a 10 count outside. It started off as like, okay, well now if Becky's in the ring, Seth can't be in the ring, so we got to keep that separate. But then at the end of the match, it just all unfolded. Just all right, just stay in there. All 4 of you can be in there. You can hit your double sharpshooters, and it just didn't quite make sense to me what a mixed tag team match with the rules were, and so like it kind of just like played in itself where the beginning of the match, it had to be technical. It had to do this. And the end of the match said, all right, just do what you want. Just get your spots in. So they could just clean that up and be more transparent what the actual rules are going to be enforced. And also the builds of the AJ Lee, that kind of lost me as well. But overall, still an absolutely amazing match. By the end of it, Everyone was into it. This should have been the main event. Cody and Drew should not have main evented. This should have been it. Had the most story, and honestly, they put on a pay-per-view main event worthy match. And it's a very, very shameful that Hunter did not put this as the main event, because he put Cody and Drew, which we'll get into right now. I love Cody. Wear my Cody shirt to the arena. I don't think Cody should have won. I think starting off a new era on ESPN, I get it. You want to put your WWE Championship as the main title, the main prize you put as your main event. Even if the story's not the strongest, it should be the prize that everyone's fighting for, so you put in the main event. And I get that thought process, I really do. But Cody wasn't here for so long to build this match up. CM Punk and AJ Lee were. It just felt like more people were invested in that match than this. You could even tell from the fans, like, they weren't as caring of it. And the match itself was fine. It didn't really ever hit the next gear, which I wanted it to. You have Cody, like, selling, I'm hoping, like, the CTE, or his head hurts from the attack, and he's, like, missing a Cody cutter. He's stumbling and just keeps grabbing his head. And then what I really didn't like is that at any point, any wrestler should be able to do anything. If I want to get a chair and hit my opponent and lose the match, I should be able to do that. In 2023 SummerSlam, Brock Lesnar, Cody Rhodes, Cody picked up the steel steps and hit Brock Lesnar. No disqualification, nothing. But when you put a wrestler through an announce table, that's perfectly fine. You throw him on there. Drew took Cody. I think it was maybe a fallaway slam or whatever. He threw him over the announce table. That's fine. If I want to put my opponent through an announce table like Becky, AJ, Seth, and CM Punk did, that's fine, no disqualification. But when Drew wants to put Cody through the announce table, through like the base of it, not on the top of it, the ref had to get in that, oh, you can't do this, like, no, you whatever. And that really was stupid, because, like, why can he not? If we've shown in all these matches that the announce table is fair game, you can use it, it's not going to disqualify you. Why is it now that if I hit it from the side, it's going to be a disqualification? And that just, it took me out of it, because that's not what it should be. It's a, differentiation from the rules, and I didn't like that. And then, of course, it had, like, Cody was being, or Drew at the beginning was being very, very patient, and Cody's trying to get it over with. He's a little injured from SmackDowns, and Drew's being very patient. But then after that, when the ref kind of screwed him over, Drew started getting more desperate. He wanted to finish it fast, and Cody was being very reactionary, and that's when he was able to hit the Cody cutters, and the Crossroads ended up getting the victory clean. This is not how I would have booked this match at all. I understand you want to have Cody Rhodes as your main guy, you want to have him as your QB1, as they keep saying, and this is your new era, and you want to have that as your champion. I get that. But Drew should not have lost like this. He has been carrying this company. He's been a workhorse, and he does not deserve to get thrown out on a clean match like that when the rules don't even make sense. And I'm sure he's going to come out there on SmackDown and use this as his character about, well, the ref should have done this and Cody did this, as he's done with, like, a lot of other stuff with CM Punk. But I don't think that should just keep going on. Like, at some point, give Drew the title. Let him win the big one. My personal fantasy booking, I had The Rock coming back and aligning with Drew McIntyre to beat Cody Rhodes, but we have not had a WWE Championship change hands on a non-WrestleMania or non-SummerSlam pay-per-view in over 3.5 years, and I think the first night on ESPN would have been the absolute perfect time to pull the trigger, give us a huge shock of Drew winning the title, saying that anything can happen in the WWE. This is your first time watching. We just changed the title. You need to watch next time, because we could just change another championship. We don't need to have, all right, well, Cody wins clean. I love Cody. He's one of my favorites right now. But personally, I just disagree with how, 1, the placement of the match should not have been the main event. 2, the finish of the match and, like, the rules enforced during the match. So it didn't ruin my night, because it's always the last thing you think of the most. It didn't ruin my night, but it still just felt out of place and weird. And I wish that Triple H did a better job. He has kind of struggled with pay-per-views, in my opinion. He didn't book Tiffany Stratton, Jade Cargill, and Nia Jax in a triple threat for the Tiffany's Championship, because he didn't want, quote, the card to be overstacked. 6 matches is not overstacking a card, especially when you have, like, built to them and you can, like, space them out. So I don't think 6 matches is too much. So give us 6 matches. It felt weird to be paying this much money. I got 5 matches, and then Cody should not main event. It was weird, but I didn't let it ruin my night. Overall, I had a really fun time. Obviously, everything you see online is very negative, so the overall perception I'm seeing on Twitter and everything like that is very negative. But for the fans in attendance, I had a lot of fun. Match of the night, Stephanie versus Iyo Sky. That blew me away. Go watch that match. But overall, a very fun time, and I feel like they're going to bring WrestlePalooza back next year, so we'll have to see who that is. But please let me know your thoughts in the comment section. What was your match of the night? Your moments of the night? What did you like? What did you don't like? Let me know in the comment section below. Leave a like on the video, and if you have not already, please subscribe to the channel as we're trying to help this thing grow.